right. My story is minivans. And as the oldest of five, my first car that I learned to drive on was the family minivan. And yeah, but I wasn't that cool to pull off like, there were some kids who were the cool kids who could pull off driving the minivan, and that was not me. So I was learning how to drive in the minivan, and my dad traveled a lot. So it was always my mom, and then two of my sisters, my brother, and when I was learning how to drive, my mom was actually pregnant. And I was very anxious about driving, very, very anxious about driving, but imagine driving when your mom's pregnant, or imagine driving when your mom's pregnant and your entire family's in the car. So I did not do so well as a new driver, and one day I made a very bad turn, or I didn't quite make the turn, and I just stopped in the middle of the road, and my mom yelled, "Stop! You have me and your unborn sister in the car." And after that, I wasn't going to be a great driver anyways, but that kind of sealed the deal for a while. And so that was, I'm learning on the minivan, and eventually my mom is forcing me to drive, which is good, because if she didn't, I wouldn't be driving today. And I had to go get my license, and this was before you could make an appointment to get your license. You had to take the day off of school, and everybody knew why you took the day off of school, and you had to wait at the DMV until your number was called, and hopefully you passed. And at this time, my baby sister, was just a few months old, maybe even just a month old. And so my mom brought her in her stroller, and we sat at the DMV all day long and waited for my number to be called. And I was getting really nervous. Like, by the time they called my number, I couldn't remember which way you push the blinker, up to go left, down to go right. Everything was gone from my mind, and that was reflective of my driving score. I failed the driving test after waiting there all day, and though, to be fair, it wasn't an actual test on the road. It was in a parking lot like this with all of these cones, and the reason why I failed is because I turned into oncoming traffic. And I argue still that if there really was a car coming towards me, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have driven into it. But so the next day, I go home, I don't have my license, and I swear I'll never drive a minivan when I'm grown up. And my uncle offers to take me to get my license the next day, and ironically, he drives a minivan. And so I get my license in a minivan, and he asks me if I want to drive home, and I vehemently say, no, I'm not driving. He drives me home, and so, high school, I drive the minivan until we get a car my senior year, and I share that with my sister. So my next experience with a minivan was actually a fun one, because I wasn't driving. In college, I went on this leadership institute to Minnesota, and professors had to drive a bunch of college-age girls around in minivans, and the professor that I was paired with was Pat Pritchard, and so somebody nicknamed the van the Patty Wagon, and so that kind of helped turn the tide for me with minivans. And then another time of experience with a minivan was also just kind of solidified how I will never drive a minivan, and that's when I found out that my ex-husband was actually having an affair in the back of a minivan, probably behind a bank somewhere on Riverside Drive. So after I realized that, I was like, there's no way in hell I'll ever drive a minivan. And my current husband and I, we kind of bonded over the fact that we both hated minivans, and we got married, but not on that sole point. But so today I'm a mom. I'm a mom of three, and I'm not gonna lie. When I pull up to daycare or to drop off my kid, and I see a parent pull up in front of me with a minivan, and all they have to do is click a button, and these doors just slide to the side, and your kids can pop in and out very easily, and you can get all their shit out. I do think to myself, damn, do I really want a minivan?